Coming to the 20th century, the years between 1920 and 1940 saw the revival of Asian Buddhism in Japan, China, India, and Burma. All of this influenced Vietnamese Buddhism. Due to the impact from this revival, monks and lay people likewise created a movement for the revival of Vietnamese Buddhism throughout the South, Middle, and North areas of the country. This created new challenges for Vietnamese Buddhism in terms of propagating Buddhist philosophy as well as ensuring the survival of Buddhist teachings. The fact that all concerned followed this revival movement brought a mature and joyful atmosphere for the community of monks and lay people. Buddhist societies also appeared through the country. An example of this was the Luk Po Society, which was formed to unify and to encourage the revival of Buddhism. In 1933, the Buddhist Academy Federation was founded and became very effective in organizing further societies in the middle and the north areas of Vietnam. These societies generally published magazines to encourage the study of Dharma and the revival of Buddhism. It was in 1951 that all of the numerous societies were unified into the General Society of Vietnamese Buddhism. This was accomplished by the Tu Dam Monastery in Hue. Then, from this important development, came the General Vietnamese Buddhist Society, which gained the most prestigious Buddhist organization in Vietnam. Since its arrival in Vietnam, Buddhism was divided into two major branches, the Mahayana and the Theravada, 80% and 20% respectively. From early on, the Mahayana had no systematic organization, and the activities of any one monastery were internal affairs. It was not until the 20th century, with its revival of Asian Buddhism, that the Mahayana gathered all of its organizational strength. Today, Vietnamese Mahayana school has upwards of 13,500 monasteries. All of these monasteries follow the Chinese system of monastic regulation initiated by the Chinese master Baitan. These regulations stipulate, for example, the way to practice in the main Buddha hall, where the positions of the various statues are likewise regulated. The regulations state, for example, on which side of the Buddha hall the bell and drum should be stationed. The ancestor shrine is located in the back of the hall. In many monasteries, Dharma practice is in the morning and evening, wherein various sutras are chanted. Generally speaking, the three schools, Zen, Tantric, and Pure Land, are represented in the sutra chanting. This includes the chanting of the Lotus Sutra, the Amida Sutra, the Universal Door Sutra, the Medicine Buddha Sutra, the Earth Treasure Sutra, and the Heart Sutra. Monks gather in the temples and monasteries for the 3-month rains retreat from April 15th to July 15th. Although the dates may vary, the rains retreat is followed by every Asian Buddhist school. There's a great deal of unique Buddhist architecture and beautiful Buddhist sites in Vietnam. Many well-known pagodas have become tourist sites. An example is the Single Pillar Pagoda, while there are many others across the country. The Theravada tradition in Vietnam was influenced by Cambodian Buddhism and is most influential in the areas near to Vietnam's border with Cambodia. This tradition of Buddhist teachings has long been in Vietnam, and it retains its own unique traditions with its 500-plus monasteries and 8,000-plus bhikkhu. The presence of the Theravada tradition in Vietnam is quite ancient, with its Sambarasi Pagoda built in 373, its Kampong Pagoda in 647, and its Ao Ba Om Pagoda in 990. These Cambodian Theravada monasteries are cultural and educational centers for various local areas in Vietnam's border areas with Cambodia. These Theravada Buddhists have a devotion to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and frequent their monasteries for weddings, funerals, and other family events. The beauty of Theravada Buddhism in the contemporary period reveals a Buddhist spirit which is not detached from social life. Rather, it engages with life in order to educate people in the Dharma. There is also a non-Cambodian Vietnamese Theravada school with approximately 60 monasteries and 350 monks. This tradition of Theravada has worked very actively in the last several decades and maintains an active interest in the development of Vietnam and the Vietnamese Buddhist community. Indeed, it is a member of the Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha. This tradition was brought from Cambodia some 50 years ago by Vietnamese Buddhists. There are also new Buddhist schools being formed in Vietnam. For example, there is the Mendicates of Vietnam, the Society of Ancient Buddhism, and the Pure Land Kulapati Society, to name only a few. In the 1960s, Buddhism was suppressed by the Catholic-oriented regime of Ngo Dinh Diem. For example, on Vesak Day in 1963, Diem ordered Buddhist flags to be lowered. He allowed firing on Buddhists, and as a result, 8 people were killed in the Hue City radio station. Also, many monasteries were blockaded and many monks were arrested. In general, the Vietnamese Sangha was not indifferent to these incidents and reacted with non-violent resistance across Vietnam. This crisis reached its peak with the self-immolation of Bhikkhu Thích Quang Duc on June 11, 1963 in Saigon. He is considered to be a bodhisattva as all of his body was turned to ash except his heart. His sacrifice was based on a great compassion and loving kindness for the people and nation of Vietnam. It had far-reaching consequences, the first of which was the assassination of Diem and downfall of his regime on November 1st, 1963.
Cái câu chuyện này thì Hòa thượng là một người mở đầu. Sau đó có 6 vị tăng ni nữa từ Huế vào đến miền Nam và tiếp tục tự thiêu. Tự thiêu đến thành công. Đây là hành động tự nguyện.
Another 6 male and female monks also sacrificed themselves through self-immolation.
Tôn chúng tôi đã có nhiều vị tự thiêu, có thể vì Phật Pháp, vì cứu khổ độ sinh, vì cái tinh thần vô ngã, để thành bao nhiêu các vị Bồ Tát đạo.
This action was a voluntary, volitional sacrifice based on the individual's vows and responsibilities.
Có vị thiêu một ngón tay. Đấy là cái gọi là cái truyền thống của Phật giáo là như thế. Chúng tôi thì
according to Mahayana Buddhism, devoted individuals may burn one part of the body, such as a finger or an arm, for speaking out in support of the teachings of Buddhism.
Dân tộc sớm được độc lập, thống nhất, tự do, có thế thôi. Đấy là cái mục đích là như thế.
To commemorate his sacrifice, the government of Ho Chi Minh City on November 6, 2007, decided to commemorate Bodhisattva Thích Quang Duc with a statue to be located in the same place where he gave his life for the future of Vietnam. As of this writing, the statue is still being prepared. During those fateful days of 1963, the various Buddhist schools and groups came together to form a unified Sangha, fittingly termed the United Vietnamese Buddhist Church. These activities of the Sangha amounted to a leap in the modernization of Vietnamese Buddhism and in the modernizing of the meaning of engagement. It was a prominent success. The unification of the Sangha included the unification of Vietnamese Mahayana and Theravada traditions. It also included the creation of Van Han Buddhist University, the Bodhi schools, and autonomous, monastery-based Buddhist colleges and schools. Van Han University and the Bodhi schools are based on Western academic methods, while the monastery-based colleges and schools are based on traditional educational methods. Buddhism at this time spread from the intellectuals to the small business people in an atmosphere of unification, harmonization, and consistency. In 1967, the Sangha divided, and it was not until 1981 that the Sangha unified again under the name Vietnam Buddhist Sangha. It remains united as of this writing. In general, the bhikkhunis and bhikkhus are in strong agreement that the Sangha should remain unified. The Vietnam Buddhist Sangha has two headquarters, one at Quan Su Temple in Hanoi and the other at Quang Duc Monastery in Ho Chi Minh City. It consists of three main levels. At the national level, the Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha has two councils. They are the Supreme Patriarch Council and the Executive Council. At the city level, there is an executive committee in each city and province that directs all activities of monasteries and monastics in the city. At the district level, there is an executive committee in each district that directs all activities of monasteries and monastics in the district or town.
Trước năm 75 thì nó có nhiều tổ chức giáo hội Phật giáo ở tại miền Nam, còn riêng ở phía Bắc thì chỉ có Hội Phật giáo Thống nhất Việt Nam. Về cái cơ cấu tổ chức thì lấy cái mô hình chính là của Giáo hội Phật giáo Việt Nam Thống nhất, Viện Hóa Đạo thì gồm có 6 cái tổng vụ, Ban chỉ đạo Viện Hóa Đạo và 6 tổng vụ. Thì cái mô hình tổ chức của Giáo hội Phật giáo Việt Nam cũng dựa theo đó làm cái căn bản để mà hình thành cái hệ thống tổ chức của giáo hội ở thời hiện nay. Thì gồm có Hội đồng chứng minh, tức là nó tương đương với là Viện Tăng Thống, và Hội đồng trị sự nó tương đương với Hội đồng chỉ đạo Viện Hóa Đạo. Trước đây chỉ có 6 tổng vụ, so với ngày nay thì Giáo hội Phật giáo Việt Nam chúng ta nó có tới 9 ban và một viện, coi như là 10 ban ngành viện trung ương giáo hội.
Their functions remain the same. Vietnamese Buddhism today continues to develop. Hundreds of monasteries have been renovated, as have ancestor temples and famous Buddhist sites. To meet with the Dharma needs of applicants, the City Executive Sangha organizes the ordination ceremonies locally every 2 years for the ordination of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. The education of male and female monks has always been a very important issue for the Vietnamese Sangha. Today, the Sangha provides education in Buddhist principles, practices, and history from the basic level through to the graduate level, while numerous monks travel abroad to take their PhDs. The Buddhist university system in Vietnam has 3 academies in the 3 regions of Hanoi, Hue, and Ho Chi Minh City, wherein bachelor degrees are awarded. The curriculum covers 4 years, while it offers courses appropriate for developmental needs in contemporary society. The Sangha likewise supports education for Theravada monks, offering courses in Pali language and primary Buddhist philosophy and psychology. The educational systems for male and female monks in the last 10 years has gained good results, opening a new window of opportunity for Vietnamese Buddhism.
Khi mà chúng ta bắt đầu thống nhất đất nước, thì Phật giáo chúng ta thống nhất thành một cái tổ chức duy nhất gọi là Giáo hội Phật giáo Việt Nam. Thì nhà nước mới cho phép chúng ta ban đầu là mở một cái học viện Phật giáo Việt Nam ở phía Bắc.
The government then gave the permission
Bây giờ
to
chúng ta
build
có
a
thêm một cái học
Buddhist
viện Phật
university
giáo ở
in the
Huế
north of
và
Vietnam
một cái học viện Phật
and
giáo
one in Ho Chi
Nam Tâm
Minh
Khmer
City.
ở miền Tây nữa.
We then also
Thì như vậy đó, ở
constructed
trong nước
an
chúng ta đã
Institute
có
of
4 cái
Advanced
học viện
Buddhist Studies in
và
Hue.
chúng ta có đến 40
Next was
cái trường
built
trung
an
cấp Phật học
Institute of
để
Advanced
đào tạo
Buddhist
tăng tài.
Studies in the south of
Trong cái thời
Vietnam,
tôi đi tu thì kiếm
as
được một
well
cái
as
vị
40
sư mà có
intermediate
bằng tú
level
tài đã khó.
schools of Buddhist
Nhưng mà ngày
studies.
nay đó thì
In my
tu
generation,
sĩ
it
trẻ
was
mà
quite
có
rare to
bằng
find a
cử
monk
nhân,
with a
thạc sĩ,
bachelor
tiến sĩ
degree
đó
in
thì cái này
Buddhist
không phải là ít.
studies.
Nên tôi kỳ vọng
However,
đó, ở cái lớp
nowadays
tăng ni
there
trẻ
are
ngày
many
nay
young monks
sẽ
with
học
bachelor,
và
master,
sẽ
and
tiếp thu được
PhD
những cái gì
degrees.
tốt của thế giới.
Our hope
Kể cả
is
các
that
tôn
the
giáo
younger
khác.
generation
Và
can gain
chúng
more
ta
knowledge
mới
about
cống hiến
issues that
cho
concern
nhân loại
society
những cái
and
gì
other
mà tốt đẹp nhất
religions.
của Phật giáo chúng ta.
Then we can contribute our best efforts to society. In terms of Dharma propagation, Zen meditation and Amitabha chanting retreats are held regularly with regular Dharma talks organized by lay-centered Dharma practice groups. Lay people come together with monks and participate in Zen and Pure Land retreats of 3, 7, or 10 days. This allows the laity to cultivate practices that were once only for male and female monks. In essence, this allows them the chance to live like monks for the duration of the retreat, and so also to take these practices home and continue it from day to day. Often, the numbers of lay people joining the retreats are quite large. Practicing meditation, whether Zen or Pure Land, has the result of purifying one's negative emotional habits. This then allows for a more correct understanding of the Buddha's teachings and enhances the important practice of morality. This then strengthens interfamily relationships and so adds to the overall health of society. In this way, the pagodas and the monasteries maintain their relevancy. The Vietnamese Buddhist Sangha is concerned with the cultural education of society. Considering this, the Sangha's cultural department has written and published more than 200 books with circulation up to 2 million copies. There is also the weekly magazine Enlightenment, which has 4 issues a month. Then there is the fortnightly magazine titled Buddhist Culture. Various monasteries also produce Buddhist cultural products, books, magazines, tapes, and CDs of Dharma talks. Buddhist music is composed by many musicians with the lyrics having various humanistic and Buddhist meaning, humanistic and Buddhist themes. The Sangha's Culture Board has published more than 100 collections on CD, including classical and contemporary music, to meet with the entertainment needs of Buddhists nationwide. The United Nations officially recognized Vesak Day as a day of remembrance of the Buddha's life and teaching. It is seen to be a holiday of culture and religion for Buddhists and those sympathetic to Buddhism. Thus, the Vietnamese Sangha and laity have organized Vesak Day celebrations such as parades, boats bedecked with flowers, and lanterns floating on rivers. This also includes the launching by the Vietnamese Culture Board of a new traditional musical play, The Life of the Buddha, composed by a Vietnamese bhikkhu. The Buddhist practice of compassion, helping those who suffer, working for the happiness of humanity, are being actively developed by the Vietnamese Sangha and laity. For example, the Sangha has built more than 120 free medical clinics that use traditional Chinese herbs and techniques with reference to Western medical knowledge. Buddhism is a religion of compassion and wisdom. We can apply the Buddha's teachings in life. Compassion in Vietnamese language is tu bi. Tu means to provide happiness, and bi means to help one to cease the suffering. Our heart is always focused on providing happiness to everyone. That is our vow
Nơi nào có đau
We
khổ, nơi
create
nào có
all the
bất hạnh, chúng
conveniences
tôi
and opportunities
đem hết sức mình,
wherever there are beings
tạo
that
mọi điều
suffer.
kiện để giúp cho nơi
The
đó được
Buddha's
vơi đi những
teachings
nỗi
are
khổ,
very
những bất hạnh.
meaningful.
Giáo lý nhà Phật rất là
Once
có
we
ý nghĩa.
provide happiness
Mình
to
đem đến
others,
niềm vui cho mọi
we will
người thì
then
mình sẽ
also
được
have
vui.
happiness.
Đó là cái ý nghĩa.
If all
Giúp
the
cho mọi người
beings
hết
can
khổ,
cease
thì
their
chắc chắn những cái
sufferings,
nỗi khổ của
then
chúng
we
tôi
too
sẽ
will
hết.
have no suffering. There are also 25 free traditional medicine pharmacies and more than 40 establishments for the care of orphans and disabled children. In urgent contingencies, such as natural disasters, male and female monks and laity initiate fundraising campaigns to assist the needy. Of course, there are also monks who primarily engage in drug detoxification efforts, this including the alleviation of other social ills. Today, the need for ethical education among Vietnamese youth is of critical importance. Fortunately, the activities of the Sangha's Buddhist Family Society are well planned and executed.
Về phương diện hoạt động từ thiện đó, thì phạm trù lớn nhất vẫn là các hoạt động cho các nạn
Concerning
nhân của
social
thiên
work
tai,
and social
bao
welfare,
gồm sóng
we
thần,
try to
động
aid
đất,
people
lũ
in
lụt,
natural
hạn hán,
disasters such as
hoặc là các
tornadoes,
cái
floods,
tai
and
nạn
other sudden
bất trắc
disasters.
khác. Các hoạt động
Every
này thì
year,
nó diễn ra
Vietnam
ngoài
faces
cái
many
ý muốn
natural
của con người.
disasters.
Và đối với Việt
Therefore,
Nam
the
đó, là
basic
một nơi
needs
mà
during a crisis
mỗi một
should
năm
be
như thế đó,
shared.
hướng lấy rất nhiều
This
các cái tai
builds
họa.
interpersonal
Và do vậy
connections.
thì cái nhịp cầu cảm
Buddhism does
thông
not only
qua việc
provide
chia sẻ vật
material
chất đó,
support, but
luôn
also
luôn được nối kết.
psychological support.
Và nhờ những nối kết như thế thì nỗi khổ niềm đau của quần chúng đó được vơi đi một phần nào. Không chỉ đơn thuần dừng lại ở việc hỗ trợ vật chất, bởi vì về vật chất đó không có chúng ta giúp thì cũng có hàng trăm ngàn các đoàn từ thiện khác. Nhưng khuynh hướng từ thiện của Phật giáo nó gắn liền với sự hỗ trợ về sự thăng bằng cảm xúc và chuyển hóa nỗi khổ niềm đau.
Therefore,
Cho nên mỗi
anytime
khi đi
we
làm
go
từ
to
thiện
places
đó,
needing
thì
help,
các đoàn
we
từ thiện Phật
tend not
giáo
only
luôn
to
luôn
assist
tặng
them
biếu thêm
materially, but we also
một
help
số
them
những
overcome their
danh
sorrow
ngôn Phật
by
dạy qua hình
explaining the
thức
Buddha's teachings.
và những cái tờ giấy nho nhỏ để cho họ có thể nghiền ngẫm, lấy
They
đó làm
can
phương
use
châm
this
trong
as a
đời sống.
tool to dissolve
Dĩ
their
nhiên là khi làm
psycho-emotional
việc này chúng ta không
sufferings.
có nhu cầu để mà
Our
đối
mission
đạo
is not to convert
hay
people
là
and
thuyết
then
phục người khác
have
phải
them
theo
follow
đạo
Buddhism,
Phật như một con đường
but
văn hóa
rather
tâm
we
linh,
view our teaching as
mà
a
như là một
tool
cái
to
cơ
help
hội để
them.
cho họ có thể phản ánh được
Indeed, such
cái nhận thức
situations
quan
can be seen as
và
opportunities to
thông qua đó
develop
nó điều chỉnh
emotionally.
các nhân sinh quan và
This
thế giới
allows
quan.
them the tools
Nhờ
to
đó
learn
có
how
đời
to
sống
live
an
happily
lạc,
in any
mặc dù vật chất có thể
circumstances.
thiếu, không đầy đủ, hoàn cảnh có thể bết ngặt, điều kiện kinh tế có thể khó khăn, nhưng cái nhận thức quan đứng đắn và mang cái tinh thần tích cực đó thì ở đâu cũng được hạnh phúc, ở đâu cũng được bình an.
The Vietnamese Sangha also reaches out in the spirit of Dharma, peace, and friendship to other Asian and international Buddhist Sanghas around the world. This includes cooperation in Dharma missionary projects. It is critically important that the Sanghas in various Buddhist countries work together to find solutions for the economic and environmental problems facing the common person. Along with developing Dharma culture and its international activities, the Vietnamese Sangha is concerned with ongoing research into Buddhist texts. This takes place at the Institute of Buddhist Research in Ho Chi Minh City. Recently, a project of translating Buddhist texts from Chinese or Pali into Vietnamese was completed. The Institute of Buddhist Research has likewise published recent commentaries on classical philosophical works and also on other sutras, as well as publishing recent material on Vietnamese Buddhist history. The Institute also regularly hosts various symposiums and conferences related to various areas of Buddhist research.
Ngày nay Phật giáo chúng ta tiếp thu những cái văn minh của nhân loại. Thì lúc bây giờ nữa,
In contemporary society, Buddhism is absorbing worldly knowledge as Buddhist practitioners need to apply such knowledge in life. Therefore, it requires male and female monks to develop a wide understanding of Buddhism and society. They also need to study languages in order to communicate with people in other countries. Working with international people is also an effective way for monks to gain knowledge. These are ways in which we widen the span of Buddhism, culture, and society.
Đóng góp vào cho cái vấn đề văn hóa, vấn đề kinh tế, an sinh xã hội. Thì như vậy đó, thì cái giáo hội chúng ta đó mới thích hợp với cái xã hội mới bây giờ.
One of the beauties of Vietnamese religious culture is the Lunar New Year period, wherein numerous people come to the temples and monasteries to pray to the Buddha for good luck and blessings on their families. Such periods of reverence are commented on by an old Vietnamese maxim, which states that paying homage to Buddha throughout the whole year is not equal to this singular supplication to him on the full moon day of the lunar month of January. A related folk belief is that on this full moon day, the Buddha descends on the pagodas to verify the faith of the laity. Among the devotees are young couples who go to pagodas to pray for the endurance of their love. As we look on Buddhism today, we see that it is developing throughout the whole of Vietnam, forming a rich, diversified religious lifestyle.
Hoạt động văn hóa của giáo hội Phật giáo trong mấy mươi năm trở lại đây đó thì rất đa dạng và phong phú. Từ những mảng lớn nhất như là bảo tồn.
In the current social situation, Buddhism has developed many non-traditional activities and ways of practice. This has happened in the need of helping various numbers of people who come from diverse backgrounds. This is an opportunity for people to enhance their spiritual life. Moreover, Buddhism manifests in many other Vietnamese cultural activities, such as music and opera, literature and painting. This also provides for the cultural needs of Vietnamese citizens.
phương tiện để có thể tăng cường thêm cái giá trị của đời sống tâm linh cho bản thân họ. Thì cái chiều hướng phát triển đưa văn hóa qua các loại hình nghệ thuật được xem như là một cái dưỡng chất tinh thần rất quan trọng, mà Phật giáo hiện tại đó xem nó như là một cái mũi nhọn rất là quan trọng để đáp ứng các cái nhu cầu văn hóa mà xã hội loài người và dân dân Việt Nam đang quan tâm.
Considering the historical development of Buddhism in Vietnam, we see that it was of central importance in facilitating a high spiritual path for many centuries, and that it continues to do so today. On the mundane level, Buddhism was also deeply involved in nation building. After all, people need a safe environment in which to practice, and a stable, prosperous national identity is the basis of this. Thus, when Vietnam was in times of need, the Sangha came through to play their role, whether advising kings or fighting for independence from invaders. In this way, the history of Vietnam cannot be told without substantial reference to generations of Buddhist leaders. The Buddhist spiritual path of the Vietnamese people was founded on Vietnam as a nation, and from this base, the Buddhist teachings spread, creating companionship between Buddhist culture and the people. This allows for an ethical culture that was and still is the desire of the Vietnamese people. These ethics can be summarized as follows: avoid unwholesome actions, perform only good deeds, and purify the mind. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas.